Hi everyone, welcome to week 2. I am setting my timer because, as I said, Screencast-O-Matic is free up to 15 minutes. So this portion of this video will be about 14 minutes. You'll hear the timer go off. Okay, for our agenda today, we're just going to go through Chapter 1, things that you need to know. A great job on everyone did homework. I can't believe it. It's awesome. There are 6 of us in class, which is terrific. Welcome Colleen. She's our newest add. Good to see you. And oh no, the meeting times when I asked you all to write back for a good time to meet outside of our online environment, there was no time that fit everyone with the exception of Chris. Thank you very much. However, the time slots did not work. So what I'll do is I do have one other time slot, which is Monday night. I teach a graduate writing class Monday nights, so I'll post the options back up. The reason I didn't put Monday originally is because who doesn't love football? And Monday night football is a big deal in my family. I am mostly boys at home. So I didn't put it down as an option, but if that would be the only day that would work, I think meeting every other Monday for a little bit would be great. It might not be any better, so I'll put that discussion back up and I'll give you the Monday option. Worst comes to worst, what we can do is a swap. I can have 2 different meet times and you can come to either meet time or both. That way we get person-to-person contact. Let's see. Okay, that's done. That's done. Okay, so for Chapter 1, there's a lot of vocabulary at the beginning, the key terms. And all of you should be familiar with the key terms, mostly because when you take your certification exam, remember the one I took in April. It's funny. I hope that the light is funny. Let's see if I move over here. There are terms that generally we don't use, terms we use all the time, obscure terms. And I think I told you there were 2 obscure terms I wasn't even familiar with. So I want you to become familiar with all of these terms, even, limited English proficient, the LEP, LEP, second column, second term down. That was what we called English language learners when I started the business in the 90s. Now it's really considered offensive. You would never say a LEP student, but that's how we identified LEP students. I think you need to just be familiar with the acronym, because if it comes up on the exam, or you're speaking to someone who's been teaching ESL for 30 years, they still may use that term. So make sure you're familiar with the term. The most current term, and the term that you will need for EdTPA, and we'll talk about EdTPA in the next couple weeks coming up, is EAL. It's funny, I think I need a marker and pad. Oh my gosh, it looks like a Godzilla movie. And the problem is I can see how I look, which is bad. Do you remember the Godzilla movies where Godzilla, the characters would talk, but their mouths wouldn't match the words because it was dubbed, and it was dubbed so poorly, but everyone loved the Godzilla movie. So I can see now I'm a Godzilla movie. What I'm saying doesn't match my lips, so sorry about that. Why did I need a piece of paper? What was I writing down? Oh, right. So for the newest, I have a new pink pen. EAL. Can you see this? EAL. This is for EdTPA, which you'll do as you're doing student teaching. It's part of the certification requirement. 3 parts for it. You're lucky you don't have to do math. And I'll give you a minute. What does EAL stand for? I don't think it's in here. Anyone? If you have an EAL student, and we are now EAL teachers. Great job. That's right. English as an additional language. So for EdTPA, the task is for, and your specialty is EAL. So states are probably going to begin to convert to EAL, considering that the national accreditation is using the term EAL. So let's start. I'm going to start using it along with ELL, and I will probably always use L1 for a first language and L2 for a second. Okay, so let's see, going through the chapter, and hopefully do you have a book? Some of you are borrowing books. Some of you have books. Okay, defining English language learners, you know all that. I think most of you now have a pretty good background on this chapter 1, simultaneous bilingualism, language minority students, heritage language. That's your L1 is your heritage language. Yep, that's a term now that we use, a heritage language. The emergent bilingual. Okay, historical and current demographic trends. Okay, this we know. Boy, does that only show the trend through 2010? Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. See, normally in class, oh yeah, 2010. And we know that on page 7, the historical trend has increased. Okay, let's see. We know the diversity of English language learners. Every day it grows, and our 2 students to be placed first. Well, of course, Brianna's in the field now. I'll tell you a little bit about her. I'll see her next Tuesday, I think. And Laura and Delaney, you'll be placed in spring. So you'll be able to tell us about the diversity of your students. In Rochester, of course, we cover everything for diversity. I think there's I mean, we cover most cultural, do we? Yeah, cultural and historical aspects. I'm so distracted. This is hard. I'm going to have to put something over my door. Okay. Spanish-speaking countries, languages most spoken. The weighted descriptors. Yeah, you should know your weighted descriptors. Entering, beginning, developing, expanding, and bridging. We do use these in New York State. Oh my gosh, that was a fruit fly that just went by. And they're on page 12. So level 1 is entering, point to stated pictures, words, what they can do for listening, sort pictures. Level 4 is expanding. Level 5 is bridging. So when you're bridging, the students has transitioned into mainstream, and maybe you still service them once a week. So make sure that you know the level and the terminology for that. Let's see, socioeconomic status. We know that a lot of our EALs are not just immigrants, but refugees, migrant workers, are displaced. For example, we have a huge displaced population still coming in from Puerto Rico. And so their socioeconomic status may be much lower, one, than they're used to, and then lower than the culture in which they're being acclimated into, which, of course, in this example is Rochester. Special education considerations. Yep, just make sure that you've read this. It's once in a while you will. It's funny, we'll talk a little bit about students with disabilities, but for the most part, most of the time, your students you may have a student with an IEP with something minor, maybe ADHD, maybe hearing impaired. But if it's a student with a significant disability, then of course they would be in maybe a room with more support systems. You wouldn't be the primary caregiver. Of course, language development would be important, but you'd be part of a team. We won't spend time on that. It may occur, but it's not that, I had to say it's not that common. It, of course, may occur, but not that common. Okay. Oh, and then of course they want us to consider the difference between U.S. born and foreign born ELLs. The U.S. born ELLs you'll see are from families who stay in their own social groups. The kids, maybe Spanish is a really great example. The kids are in a Spanish-speaking environment. The parents speak Spanish. They're watching Spanish TV. It's ubiquitous. Spanish grocery store. Spanish interactions, but they were born in the U.S. and they're completely Americanized, but they don't have that language. Versus, of course, a foreign-born student who comes in and is dealing both with culture and language. Cultural adjustment issues. Oh my gosh. And then how did that website work out? It's funny, we need a discussion board. I should add a discussion board of, I'm going to add a discussion board of problems. I should. Problems, questions. That's what we should do. We should have an open forum for problems and discussions for that website, for the fabulous website. It's funny, without all of you in front of me, I'd love to talk about this and to see your feelings on this, but with me just talking, it's tough to get a feeling to see how you feel about something like that. All right. I wonder if I can pause this. Hold on. Okay, and also, oh, I have someone at my door. Okay, that's good. I just paused it. I've been practicing. Is this still re-recording? Yes. Okay, so, I'm sorry, I was distracted. 3 people came to the door. So, vocabulary, I think we ended with the fabulous website. Oh, right. So, things like subtractive bilingualism, honestly, you can figure out what that is when you lose your home language. Additive bilingualism. These are vocabulary words, again, that you should just learn, memorize. Make yourself a flashcard and learn them. Most of them you know already, but just become familiar with them. Okay, I see that I'm at 11 minutes. Here it'll be 12. I'm going to go ahead and save this video, and I'll see you in a minute on our next one. All right, bye.